And not like some good music, Dave, to get you going on a nice Sunday, New Year's Eve. We are live, man. It's the first time in a while that me and Dave have been live here on a pre-lock show, man. I'm excited, man. I am absolutely excited. Sorry we started a couple of minutes late trying to get some things together. But as always, I'm Jigsaw. That's Dave. You know me. Obviously, it's been a while. You can hear me on Sirius. Dave's been holding it down with either Ghost or Six or Jason. But Dave, I just have to say one thing, and everybody knows we're Philly guys. And before we even start this, I get on Twitter, and what's the first thing I see is Kyler Murray showing up with his Sidney Crosby Pittsburgh Penguins jersey. Like, are you just asking to get obliterated today? Like, what? Like, I could see this, Dave, like, if your team was good, but your team stinks. Right? And you, like, what is that, man? Like, it's a violation to me.
It's playing Dylan Brooks. You know, he wants to be a villain. That's fine. I think you picked the wrong place to do it, though. So it's gonna be fun today, and especially on New Year's Eve in Philadelphia, bro. Those guys have been out there since 6 a.m. He better watch himself today. It's gonna be wild.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be wild, man. Javon checking in. What's up, Javon? Takedown 78. Takedown. What's up, boys? Oh, look, we got a from Chargy 65 Ghosts and Sticks looking really good today, man. Yeah. Trying to do our best Ghost and Six impression, man. You know what I mean? Like, we go Canadian and Goff meets Philly. How's that? But listen, this is gonna be fun. 13 games to get into. Again, new feature. Like I put this today, man. Like, I know the comments are gonna be live, but here's the thing: if you want to get live on the air, okay, it's very simple. You just need a phone. That is it. It's no video. We plug you in audio only. I'm going to put it in the comment right now. All you need to do is click on this link, man. You click on this link. The link is on our Twitter account as well. It's on X. All you need to do is click on it. Boom. We'll throw you live. Your question, as always, if you have other questions, get them up. But Dave, 13 games. Before we just break down, what's your favorite game right now? What are you looking at? Your favorite?
Wow. I mean, my favorite to watch. I mean,
favorite to watch. Before we begin it.
Miami, Baltimore. I think that's where we got to dial in for the number one seed. But I'll tell you that New Orleans Tampa game intrigues me a lot too, because that's for a division today. Just short of week 18. There's a lot of good ones out there today. And with a full slate, 13 games, we haven't had one of these in a long, long time because the NFL breaks up with buys, plays 3 on Saturday, plays 2 on, they move it all around. No Monday night game. Only one Saturday, only one Thursday. We got a full slate. It's going to be fun. But yeah, Miami, Baltimore, and Tony White's really interesting. You saw what Baltimore did last week. Teams that come off playing San Francisco usually don't fare as well the next week. That's a physical, that's an emotional. You got to be fully up for that game in both your mind and your heart. We'll see how they can respond today.
Nah, listen, I completely agree. I do. When you play a top-notch team, that it's just not about physicality, that emotional aspect, the mental aspect, because you get up so big for those games, man. Yep. And listen, make sure, as always, like the show, subscribe to the channel, WinDailySports.com. Listen, I could go through the 70,000 deals that we have. I'll try to scroll them across the screen, but all you need to do, WinDailySports.com, and jump into our Discord, man. We're dropping Dave's dropping plays. I'm dropping SGPs. Jason's dropping ladders. It's fun, man. It's really, really fun. And bonus today, everybody listening right now, we're going to give away five 1-month free memberships for the people who hit the first touchdown in the Eagles-Arizona game. So as we're going through this stream, you let us know who you're picking to score the first touchdown in the Eagles and Arizona game. And everyone who hits that, 5 people that hit the first touchdown in that game will get a free 1-month subscription to Win Daily Sports. So keep locking it in right here. So Dave, let's go right off the bat. Number one, I'm not in the championship this week. I got beat in one of the best leagues I had. Christian McCaffrey took me to the house. It is what it is. So let's just go featured 13. My man Jay says Jalen Hurts. And there you go.
I was going to give you Jason. Last week, he was the first touchdown scorer. I'm a very avid first touchdown scorer guy. Track it. Obviously, the tush push is a big thing when it comes to – and Swift is a guy I tend to like, especially against the 31st ranked rush defense in the NFL. But here's the problem with Swift, and I'm taking him too. You never know when they're going to put Gainwell inside the 5 or 10. So Swift has been burning me all year with these first touchdowns. Yeah.
I'm gonna go something way off base. I'm going Greg Dortch. I'm going Greg Dortch.
Wow.
Down. Listen, I just have that. I feel like it's going to be that somber, at the link, and then all of a sudden the Eagles are going to explode after that. But I just have a feeling it goes long one time, and boom. So let's get into this 13-game slate. Keep them coming. Yep. Boston Scott, keep them coming. This is a live show. Again, if you want to get involved, click on the link, throw your comments up. But Dave, let's start right off the bat. We got, again, your favorite game to watch. First game on the slate, Miami, Baltimore, man. When we're looking at this, players that you're looking at, maybe sleepers, highest projected guys. I'll pull up the model in a little bit. What are you thinking in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I do think Lamar Jackson's in play. I think the 7,700 number isn't as bad as I probably would have expected in a high-paced game. Lamar's been over 8, several times this year. So 77, I don't think is terrible. But, we're the type of guys, I do like to pay down for quarterback in certain spots. I think today with 13 games, you can pay. You have some better spots. But Lamar's the first one. I don't love Tua, but I do love Lamar. And here's the thing. If you remember a Miami-Baltimore game, say, a year ago, I mean, we had some scores in the 40s. So, both quarterbacks excelled in that game. It was an up and down. But without Waddle today, I look more on Lamar's side from a quarterback perspective. Now we get in the running game. Tony, it's interesting. I don't know who to trust on the Miami offense. They just share it too much. I know a chain can break one. Mostert's always questionable, but they're going against one of the tougher run defenses in the league, 8th ranked against running backs. So the only guy I like on Miami side today that I'm going to trust is Tyreek Hill. So, and one more on Baltimore side, still liking me some Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely. I think in the passing game, they'll be able to get open and be able to get, we saw CeeDee Lamb get some good yards in the open field against Miami last week. I think those two in the open field, Likely just smashed someone last week in the open field, threw him down with a stiff arm. He's actually got some moves after the catch.
He does, man. He does. I listen, I like Likely. He definitely is a guy that I did not expect to rise up to this next level. I thought he was a year away. He's looking, I think today in this game, I'm with you. I mean, listen, everybody's going to jump on A-Chain, right? They're going to jump on A-Chain, but they're not looking at that defensive front, that defensive linebacking core. The linebacking core in Baltimore is so key in stopping that run, and people don't realize that. That's how they utilize it. So they've always had great linebackers in Baltimore. So I'm with you. Yep. I'm with you. But on the Baltimore side, I really like Zay Flowers. I just, he's a gadget guy. And the one way that you're not going to beat the cover corners out there. You're not going to beat the lockdown guys. You're going to beat them in the seams. You're going to beat them with wide receiver bubble screens. And that's what Zay Flowers does. So I'm looking at Zay Flowers today as one of my top plays in that game.
Yeah, I like it too. And listen, the Gus bus is always, it's always moving. The keys are always in the ignition, and you're always, in a touchdown equity position. Miami 20th, I think, against the run DVOA. So Gus is the problem with Gus, and Miami's a little better when it comes to points against running backs, but the rush defense is ranked lower, is that he just doesn't get the volume that we love to see. Now, with Keaton Mitchell out, we haven't seen if they've really been able to transition to a full running game. If they do that, Gus might get a lot. So he's kind of on my fringe, kind of sleepy GPP style player. 5,900 is pretty good for a guy that has high touchdown equity.
Yeah, no, you're under $6,000. Like, because Gus Bus can easily give you one of those low base Derrick Henry 22 yards but 2 touchdown lines. I mean, it's very right the way they get down there, and now as much as they love Lamar running, they do tend to protect him later in the year a little bit. So I could definitely see that for real. Now we will move on to Buffalo and New England. Now, is anybody you're like really that? I would say ballsy to start Bailey Zappi at 4,800. I mean, we talk about value and we talk about those mid ranges like 55 to 6,000 for the quarterbacks, with 4,800 Bradley Zappi. I don't know, man. I don't know if I could do it.
No, I don't think I can. I mean, my problem, there's just too much on the slate. So that's and he's not going to bust for more than I don't know, say, if he gets lucky, he gets 2 TDs, I think, today. So, yeah, I'm not in on Zappi. I'm not in much on this game, though. New England's defense, again, is kind of like sneaky good second in rush defense DVOA. So, kind of makes me not want to play James Cook. He's had that game against Dallas and then wasn't so great last week against LA. So, I'm I don't think if I'm going to do anything, it's going to be more in the Buffalo passing game, but I'm going to avoid Buffalo's running game. But I might look at Zeke a little bit. Zeke's just been getting every touch in the book. He did it again last week. He catches a ton out of the backfield. Buffalo is 20th in rush defense DVOA. And then if we look even a little further, I think they're about 21st in points allowed to fantasy running backs. So pretty good spot, I think, for Zeke.
Yeah, I like Zeke. You said it. I mean, listen, he's really turned it up when it's come to being trusted out of the backfield to catch balls. I mean, this is a guy that he has 25 targets in 3 weeks. And if Bailey Zappi isn't going to be able to really go downfield deep, how else are you going to do? It's going to be the dump offs. It's going to be those constant dump offs, right? So I think he's a great find. It's 6,000 right at that running back, echelon. I mean, listen, 4 out of 5 weeks, he's over the 10-point margin on DK. So 2 20-point games as well. So I do. I think you're right. I like that a lot. Zeke has really turned it up. Now, speaking of week 17, we have the winter weather game. It's already snowing in Chicago. We know what that means. The old time Soldier Field. I mean, listen, Dave, let me ask you this real fast. Growing up, like what was your favorite? Because I'm a big Chicago Bears guy. I love Soldier Field. I love Mike Singletary. What do you think? What's your favorite Chicago Bears, like old school Soldier Field moment that doesn't involve the fog game?
Yeah, the Fog Bowl was tough for us growing up. I'm trying to think about it. They had a couple like just crazy windy games. They've had some snow games. Oh man, off the top of my head, and I'm going back to the McMahon days. I can't probably put a finger on my favorite game in Soldier Field, but I've seen so many that are affected by weather up there. Some Green Bay games. I'm kind of trying to remember Brett Favre.
Even moments, man. Like I don't even care about it. Like it even could be moments, favorite.
Well, the double doink is my favorite moment.
Cody Parkey.
So, yeah, you got to, but that's coming from an Eagles fan. You could even go back to Hugh Douglas on Jim Miller too in a playoff game. So, how about you?
It's funny. The double doink, obviously the Fog Bowl, but I don't remember the game, but there was at least 2 of them with Devin Hester. Just running the ball, but like when Devin Hester was at his heyday, I mean, listen, bro, he was like unstoppable for a couple years out there, man, and he won a couple games, and I can't remember, but just like bad weather, rainy, one of those like 7-6 games, and all of a sudden, he wins at the end. So just really good defining moments. Now, we're looking at this game
real quick.
What's up?
Question on Baltimore. Do I think OBJ? So.
I was just looking at that plus 275 right now on DraftKings.
I think there's a chance. Now, listen, he scored 3 touchdowns past 7 games, but he's gone down in targets in the past 2. He's only seen 3 targets in the past 2 games, coming off that 110 target game. I think that was a little bit of a dinged up Zay Flowers that day when he got the looks. And now we're starting to see Nelson Aguilar get in the game, Rashad Bateman get in the game. I almost think there's too many balls to go around to rely on that number today. And what I mean by that is I think the targets will be low again. I think somewhere in the 3 to 5 range. So he's got to catch one of those for a touchdown. Kenny, absolutely. He's one of their game breakers. So Lamar's got to lay it on him. But 275 is not bad though.
I think
275 bad is not. But I'm not touching it.
I'm with you. I mean, listen, he's only 6 targets in 2 games. I mean, if you take out the Rams game, where obviously we know why he went off in the Rams game, right? He had 10 targets, but besides that, 5, 7. I mean, like you said, I don't think there's enough balls to go around for OBJ right now. I think he's locked into Likely. I do it. I think he's locked into Zay, and even Justice Hill.
We saw Aguilar.
Yeah, I hate saying his name because I can't.
Yeah, we do too. We still bring up that clip.
But no, you're right. I mean, listen, at plus 275 right now. Listen, I have some parlays to throw out at the end. He's one of the guys I looked at, but his number was just too high for catches. I think it was over 3.5 today, and I just couldn't do it. I was like, I don't see it. I don't, it's sad to say it is OBJ, but I don't see it. Look at the Chicago game. Obviously, going to be affected with weather a little bit. It's not like snowing to the point where it's like the Snow Bowl with the Lions and the Eagles, but it is going to affect the hands. It is going to affect the ball. Justin Fields, man, like, is this going to be? It looks like it'll be a running day today for Justin Fields. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wrote something, and it does. I wrote something earlier on Win Daily Sports. Check it out about NFL games. And today, this is one of them I highlighted. You got the fifth best rushing defense DVOA in Atlanta and the second best rush defense DVOA in Chicago. Two very good rush defenses. So, as much as I agree with you, it's going to be a running game. It's probably going to be an ugly running game, too. I think it's going to be a slow it down, grind to halt. Fields was one of my top two quarterbacks last week on the slate. He's not there today because now, Tony, I do think he'll get his yards. I just don't think he's going to pop. You know what I mean? Like, I still think, maybe he might get 60, 70 in the rushing game, no problem. But, 14, 15 points maybe out of him today. We'll see. I just think it's a really slow game today. So this one I don't like very much, especially when they're saying maybe a half inch of snow, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds. It's a typical Soldier Field December game.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I actually, for me, I think this is every bit of a Cole Kmet game.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a
I think he locks in on Cole Kmet. Now, I get it. He's a game time decision. Okay, he's got a sore knee, but as long as his knee's okay, because listen, it's late in the year, right? These guys get up for these kind of games, right? So as long as he's okay, he's a guy I look to target, man. He's just consistent when it comes to targets. And I'm looking at Dave, somebody mentioned OBJ, so I'm keeping a prop sheet up now. I like me some Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier. I always say Alligar for some reason, but I like Tyler Algier, a plus 250 anytime touchdown. He has that Gus Bus mentality too.
He does. Hey, Dancer, lines got screwed by refs. I think they very well did, but I watched two of the biggest idiots coach a football game last night. So, even going for it at the 8-yard line afterwards was stupid. Going for it at the 4-yard line and then throwing to your third string tight end, by the way, 2 yards short of the goal line. Like, the whole thing was stupid, but they did kind of get screwed. I don't blame you. I mean, I do agree with you. Now, talking about this game, you talk Tyler Algier. Javon, yeah, listen, Bijan got 75% of the snaps last week. That's awesome, right? He got 50% of the touches. It still doesn't make sense. When Algier got in the game, he got 20% of the snaps, but ended up getting 10 touches, almost touched the ball every single time he was on the field. So for your point, Tony, there's a chance when Algier is playing, he's getting the ball, and you got a chance at good touchdown equity there. But I can't trust him versus the number 2 rush defense to stick with the run. Bijan's got to get in the pass game today. That's where I'm looking for him to, pick up the yards. I do think he'll get some points today. I just don't think he's kind of like a high ceiling guy. I think he'll be solid.
Yeah, well, what's crazy is it just shows that Arthur Smith is a complete bonehead, right? Because, right, I mean, like, no matter if you look at the numbers from, like, what are you trying to make this guy into? He's going to be a pass catcher? Is he going to be a run? Like, 1 week he's getting 20, he's getting 18, 16 to 10. So next week he's getting 3 targets, 5. Yeah. Like, what are you doing with him? Like, I honestly don't think they have any idea how to utilize this guy.
They don't, and then they bring Cordero Patterson in still. Yeah. Like it's a 3-headed machine back there with the 7th pick in the draft. I mean, we've gone over this year and year. I think he's probably. We should have an end of the year, session here. We're talking about things that went wrong in the NFL. He'd be in the top 3.
I agree, man. I mean, and Dave, not to get on a tangent here, but remember we talked about this, on Sirius every single day, right? Remember, and it was like, are you going to take him top? Are you going to take him top? Right? But this is why we just weren't sold, man. We weren't sold. Right now, I mean, Bijan is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9th rack running back. On a 6 picks projection model. Listen, he's got a high value, 2.43. So we'll see. I mean, it could be game script, right? At the end of the day, it could be game script. That's one of the things that we kind of look at. Now, when we bounce around, go ahead.
Back to Georgie, good point. With Waddle out, 3,600, I think is a very good, kind of punt play today with Cedric Wilson. So I do like that call at 3,600. My problem is I think this is going to be a slower game. Obviously, they played one of those fast-paced games last year. So that's I'm just not sure how much we'll get to throwing the ball around. But Cedric Wilson is a great – if you get 3-4 catches at 3,600, you've exceeded your value. So good call. I like it.
So just so everybody knows, there's a Cedric Wilson. He's actually, listen, anytime if you go to our projection model, like I said, go windalesports.com. And again, if you go to the value, you can see anything above a 2.0 shows you that they're predicting some type of value based on that salary. And Cedric Wilson, and here's the thing, you could type it in right here. You just type his name in, boom, it comes up, and you see it right there, 2.21. So, if you're getting 8 to 15 or 8 to 12 for a $3,600 receiver, you're still doing well, man. You're probably going to cash as long as your studs pan out. You know what I mean, Dave?
I agree. And Kenny, to answer your question, I go Brandon Johnson. I just think, the Chargers' pass defense is atrocious. And, he's going to be sitting at 1 or 2 today. Judy, I still never believe in. I think Brandon might get the majority of the targets. And guess what? Sean Payton is going to want to show you that he can pass the ball without Russell Wilson. So I like Brandon Johnson a little bit better for that reason.
Now we have another question. The hater says, I love the hater, by the way. I love that name.
Yeah.
Purdy or Allen? I think this is an interesting one, only because everybody wants to know, is Brock Purdy going to come back? And, it gets watched and they stink, right? So it's like, and how do we even judge that? Yeah, you have Josh Allen. I'll tell you what, man, this could be the only thing I say. And if you look at our projections, they're literally a player away, right? We have Josh Allen ranked as number 4, Brock Purdy ranked as number 6. But here's the thing, Purdy has a higher value because he's only $7,000 at a 2.85. And here's the thing about Josh Allen, Dave, we say this all the time. Bill Belichick, somehow, some way, always has a knack for stopping the best player on the other team. Now, I'm not saying that Josh Allen can't, but we also see Josh Allen, and you know what I mean? We've seen him in games where he's faltered too. So this could be interesting, especially you're playing for a championship right now.
Yeah, it depends where you're asking. If you're asking DFS, I take the discount with Purdy.
Yes.
If you're asking season-long championship, I am going with Allen today. I just think the legs, the running ability, I think is important because, like we said earlier, New England's second against the run, or third, them in Chicago right there, DVOA. So, I don't think James Cook or even who else they got there that steals the touchdowns? What's his name? Not
Latavius Murray.
Latavius Murray. Yeah. I think it'll be Josh Allen.
Who scored today, by the way? I'll tell you now, he's scoring today.
Yeah, someone else. Yeah. Or Josh Allen gets in with his legs. So I do like Allen in season long a little more, but Purdy in DFS. So we got one other question season long here. He needs Zamir White, Pacheco, or Walker.
Ooh.
I haven't loved Cincinnati's run defense all year. So I lean Pacheco, but they're so weird in Kansas City right now that you can't really trust any offense. So I'm going Zamir White. That Indianapolis defense stinks.
Zamir White. Let's see. Let's see where we got Zamir White on our projection model. Listen, he's projected. He's another high value, 2.72, man. Like 14 at 5,100. Like you said, I mean, that's a good smash spot for Zamir White.
Yep.
And here's the thing about Kenneth Walker. I like Kenneth Walker, but I feel like he's really banged up, and I think it's showing, right? And Pittsburgh's got a really solid front line. Just throwing it out there, man. Like, they're solid. They still got Casey Hayward up there playing like he's 25 years old. I mean, they're solid there. So I don't know, man. I like the call. I like Zamir White.
Yeah, and Pacheco, I mean, obviously, I think, he's cleared the concussion protocol. I think he's going to have a good day. And he will catch him out of the backfield. But I'm taking that chance. Indy's the worst defense all their say. So just taking – and Zamir White, actually, I mean, last game, 22 rushing attempts. So pretty good.
Yeah, they're going to keep handling the ball.
I mean, they didn't complete one pass in the second half last week.
What a funny thing is, like, you have to look at this the way we do, right? Like, if you're an old school football guy, like, again, I say this all the time, look at everything, right? Who is Antonio Pierce? He's a smash mouth, get in your face, Mike Singletary kind of person. Now, he wants old school. He wants to pound the rock, dude. So 22, I know he's not the offensive coordinator, but he's changing the culture there and the philosophy. So I love the Zamir. Zamir might get 25 carries a day. Like, literally. When was and let's remember, Josh Jacobs was that kind of guy too. Oh,
he was. Yep.
Oh, and he's just not there. So they're kind of just staying the course a little bit, but I think it's elevated a little bit with Zamir White. Now, going to this New England Buffalo game from a DFS perspective. Now, I will say this. For anybody who likes props, I'll throw them out when I have them. I love the anytime touchdown for Latavius Murray at plus 600 in this game. Again, they like to bring him in. They like to put him down at that goal line situation. I feel like this is going to be another smash mouth kind of game, multiple touchdowns. So give me that plus 600 for Latavius Murray. But how about James Cook, Dave? Are we so, because they're going to get that big week and then inconsistent again, right?
Yeah.
Right back. Like, what's your take on James Cook?
Oh, I think he's a heck of a player, but 7,100 today. I'm not playing him at all in DFS. I'm even scared of him in season long a little bit today. He let one. I'm pretty sure he put one on the ground again last week. That's always the concern with James Cook. He got benched his rookie season in LA for fumbling on his first carry ever. So he's got a little bit of ball security issues, but when he's running hard. He reminds me of Jahmyr Gibbs in a way too. They're very athletic, hard runners. I mean, coming from Georgia too, a big time running back, but I don't love the matchup today. Can he do well? Sure, but I don't think he smashes, and that's what we're looking for in GPP. So plus salary's too high for me.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. I can't touch them. I can't touch them. Again, WinDailySports.com. Make sure you give us a follow at WinDailySports.com. Make sure you're liking the YouTube page, subscribing to the show, and make sure you're getting on WinDailySports.com, man. Like I said, I could go through the deals that we have. They're all across the screen. They're proliferated all throughout. And the special deal today, I tell everybody, special deal. And people are still checking in. I'll give away 5 free 1-month memberships to Win Daily if you can guess the first touchdown in the Arizona and Philadelphia game. I told you my pick is Greg Dortch. I'm going way off the map. I'm going Greg Dortch. I see a lot of Hurts. I see a lot of Swift, AJ Brown. So make sure you get in the comments. Let's go. Go ahead.
I'm going Smith. I'll go Devontae.
You're going Swift too, right?
Well, Devontae. I'm going Devontae.
Oh, you're going with I like it.
I think they're going to wake up one of the wide receivers early. And I think they try and, blow the lid off this one and go long. And in that case, I think they get Devontae in the action. So I'll take Devontae. But yeah, let's get into the next one. What do we got? Tennessee, Houston, and
Javon, you're 100% right, man. That's why I love Dortch. Did this on our NFL DraftCast. Make sure you're watching that every Wednesday, where we pick the live lineups on the screen. But Dortch, for me, we always have an issue in Philadelphia covering that second or third receiver. He's going to get loose. He's going to get out there in our safety play, and I think he's going to have a big day today. So Tennessee and Houston, CJ Stroud is back. Devin Singletary turns into the Devin Singletary I was predicting like 2 years ago. But what's your take on this game, man? Like, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game.
You just said something that transitions so nicely into this game. That's second, third receivers, and I think that's where the value's at today in this game. Noah Brown, I think at 5,100. Obviously, I think Nico is playing, but from that sense, I really like Noah a lot better. Nico's 2,100 more. And then from Tennessee, I think the value's in Treylon Burks. We watched the Houston team let up 260 yards or so to Amari Cooper last week. I know he's their number one, but I think in some way they can guard Hop a little bit better than they could Coop. Obviously, Hop isn't gonna go long like Cooper did last week. So I think the guy that does go long is Burks at 3,300. I think is really good value on this slate. So I agree with you. I think this is a sneaky good scoring game, but also a great value game for us. Devin Singletary, 5,600 is fantastic. And with CJ Stroud back, like you said, still lacking a little bit of the weapons he has. He's going to be without his tight end. He's going to be without Tank Dell. So it looks like, Dalton Schultz is back, but still, I think you're going to see Singletary out of the backfield catch a lot of balls today. So Singletary, 5,600, I think is a great value play today. And then obviously I like a little bit in the Tennessee passing game. Houston's run defense has been great. I'm not touching Derrick Henry.
I'm not touching Derrick Henry either. Not touching Derrick Henry. My guy is exactly who you talked about. You'll see him. He's in one of my jigsaw parlays later on today. Is Treylon Burks. I think this is again, everybody's going to say, what's everybody so excited? Let's remember something real fast. Treylon Burks was the reason why AJ Brown was traded. Because they figured they didn't want to pay him and they could draft a guy that they were really heavy on. And he did play well until he banged his knee out, right? So he's just getting back. And you see it. Listen, I know it's only 3 targets, but he's got a 95% target to catch ratio already. He's working with the young guy at quarterback. I think today is that day where you see him get those 5 catches for 80 yards and a TD. And if you bang him at 3,300, Dave, man, you're walking all the way to the bank.
Well, yeah, and like we said, this was Derrick Henry's worst game as a pro 2 weeks ago against Houston. Houston showed up again last week, shut down the run. They've seemed to transition and just focused on, stuffing the box, which has left the back end a little bit open. So I think it's a great spot for Burks. And if we look back just a couple weeks ago when Tennessee did play, Levis had 199 yards, but he was able to get the ball to Chris Moore. And then Treylon Burks had 3 for 62 in that game. That was his biggest game of the year. You just get a couple more, and he only had 3 targets. A couple more targets. That guy's going for the numbers that you just spoke of. So 3,300, love it. Chig Okonkwo, Javon, yes, I do think he's solid, a good play. We saw him get back into the passing game last week. So, I like Chig as well, but more. I think there's a few other tight ends I'm going to go with. Noah Brown. Yeah, I do like Brown over Shaheed. It's tight though. It's close. I'm so big on Olave today that I'm curious how much Shaheed will get the ball. We'll see. But I do like Shaheed. Now you got to go against Tampa's pass defense.
Yeah, we have Shaheed ranked lower on our projection model by considerable amount. Yeah. So I would go Noah Brown and Dave, just for, I'm more of the betting guy right here, but just so everybody knows with the Treylon Burks, Treylon Burks earlier in the week, his number for his over for receiving yards was 23.5. It is now up to over 28.5. It went up 5 yards because people are looking at, we're looking at. So right now, even receptions, how about this one? The over 2.5 is at plus money at plus 114. I'm locking that in. I'll tell you that right now.
Let's go. I'll punch it in now.
Yeah.
Where'd you get
over
that?
2.5 plus 114 for Treylon Burks, man.
Is that DraftKings or?
That's on DraftKings. So shop around. Get your number again. And if you're in a legal state to bet, we have about 8 different deals, man. Get on Discord, hop in our DMs. We can get you the free money, get you the free deal so you can no sweat all week long. That's how we do it. Now, Dave, let's swing on. What's the next game we have right here so we can keep this flowing, man? We got Las Vegas, which I still want to say Oakland, and Indianapolis. Again, Indy stinks. Vegas is transitioning, right? Do you even play anybody from a pass catching perspective in Indy? It's tough. It's tough for me.
Tough. I do think Downs has some value here. Vegas, they're decent creating pressure. Obviously, Max Crosby is just an absolute freak of nature. I could see 5,400 is a decent price on a guy like Downs. Pierce will have some value. And Pittman's just too much. If he does play, we're not sure yet. Looks like he's, and by the way, I'm still mad about that play. They're saying he's going to play, but he missed 2 weeks because the guy took a cheap shot on him in Pittsburgh. Yeah, the guy gets fined a couple bucks and gets to keep playing. That's a big hit for Indy. But yeah, if Pittman's back, he takes the value out of Pierce and Downs. So I'm with you. I'm probably light on the Indy passing game, but I do really love our boy Taylor today. JT, I think he's going to get the lion's share of the carries, obviously without Zach Moss versus one of the worst rush defense in the league. I think Jonathan Taylor is one of my favorite running backs on the slate today, 7,300.
Yeah, listen, I think he's underpriced. To say it's crazy, like 7,300. But seriously, when you look at this slate and you look at the running backs, you got McCaffrey at 9,600. And you have Rashad White at 7,600, Kyron Williams 83, and then you're dropping at 7,300 for Taylor. It's a great spot, man. I like it a lot. I think it's a tremendous value. Now on the Vegas side, we've already talked about Zamir White. What about the receivers in Vegas? Like, can we trust a Devontae Adams? Do we take a value in Jacoby Myers or maybe even a Hunter Renfrow? Or do we just say I'm fading them all together?
Yeah, versus this team, I think you can do that. I think for me, it's Zamir White obviously we've talked about, and I'll sprinkle some in on Devontae Adams today. I did like what I saw out of him last week. Again, take nothing out of the stats because Vegas didn't pass in the second half. They said, I'm going to do it Pierce's way, and I'm going to win this game my way. I think today, versus a bad defense in Indianapolis, I think Devontae Adams will have a good day. So I will be playing some shares at Devontae.
If you think about it this way, I like that because sometimes just throw games out, right? So you throw that game out last week against KC, and then you go his last 2 games before that, 22 targets, still getting the volume, and he's 7,400. I mean, he's under 8,000.
Yeah.
And usually receivers that get that kind of volume, Dave, they're up over 8.
Yeah. Yep. Yo, Javon did the same thing, and then I actually added +4 to it too as well. I went on Bet365, got +320 with 4 receptions. So let's go.
There you go. We're all getting into Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks, man. I'm telling you, you're going to be watching Scott Hanson on Red Zone. You're going to see Treylon trotting in the end zone, bro. I'm telling you.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So this game is probably a good spot. I mean, the Raiders do play at a slower pace, but we still got a 42 total. So you don't want to get you could play a run back in this game. It's going to be expensive, but JT and Adams Adams is like the 12th highest, salary receiver. That's like you said, very low for him. I think you could easily get in with those two and move on and build your teams in some other areas that we already talked about. Or even throw in Zamir White with Adams. I think they kind of are contrarian to each other, so I'd be careful stacking them. But I would play one or the other in several lineups with the run back of someone like JT.
No, I agree. I like that. I like that strategy. Now, moving on, a game that I could care less about. I don't know about you, but Carolina, Jacksonville.
Yeah. ETN. You could talk me into ETN because you got the backup quarterback playing in Beathard. So I could see ETN having a good day against Carolina, but everything else, Carolina just is. I mean, even when they were winning some games, they stayed close against Green Bay last week. It was still one of those. Nobody really popped. So I'm with you. I think I'm off both sides, but could play a little ETN.
Now, Chargy, I hope we're right here. Chargy says you told me to Burks over Wilson.
3 for 62.
Yeah, I don't think you can lose, man. Honestly, the numbers tell me something. The numbers are telling me something. Now, Kenny says Olave or Rice.
Olave.
I
really like Olave. Now, I think Rice will do well, especially when since he's missing some of their D-backs. But that Kansas City team just ain't right now. Now, do they get right today? Maybe, but I like Olave. I do.
Yeah, I'm looking at this as a Kelsey day, so I don't think it's going. I think Kelsey goes off today, and that's going to hurt Rice a little bit. I just feel like it's time now. Going to the next game, I like this game a lot, man. The Rams and the Giants. I just think this is going to be a really explosive game. From the Rams, I do. I don't know. I think they're clicking on all cylinders, man. And
they are.
How do you not like Kyron Williams?
Yeah.
I mean, this dude's doing everything, man.
Yep. No, he's been fantastic. We talked about weeks ago in our DraftCast and in other areas that he's going to help people win their fantasy title. And he wasn't even on anybody's draft radar at the beginning of the year. Obviously, when you had Cam Akers being sold to you that he was the number one, everybody liked a little bit of the Rams rushing game, but not Kyron. And now Kyron's going to be one of those saviors. And he's got just the most beautiful matchups coming down the stretch here where he got Arizona. He had New Orleans last week, and now is running into a weak Giants defense. Love it. Love Kyron Williams today.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, listen, he's about as automatic as a Jalen Hurts and a Christian McCaffrey touchdown bet any week. I mean, because McVay has him utilized in so many different areas. I mean, that's the focal point of their offense, 100%. So
yeah, it's funny. He didn't get a target last week, but before that, he saw 7 targets, 5, 4, 6. He's averaging, 5.5 in the 4 weeks before it. So I think they get back to getting him the ball in the receiving game too this week.
Either way, though, I mean, my man's averaging like 4.5 yards per carry.
Yeah.
Right. He's got 300 games in a row, 4 out of 5. I mean, it's a locked in, man. He's locked in and, averaging 96 a game. I think his over and under for his rushing, I think it was a little high. Let me see. It was Kyron over 91.5 and minus 115. That's a little high.
It is.
I don't know if I touched that number, to be honest with you. Now his rushing and receiving, though, Dave, over 113.5. That may be where I go, assuming they get back to giving him the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, and it's been interesting though when they take the lead like they did last week and in other weeks, that's when they don't pass to him. So I'm leaning towards the rushing prop more than rushing receiver, but I think I'm with you either way. What's interesting is Puka or Cooper. I got to ask you that question.
That's it's funny on on my parlay that's coming up later, I took Puka.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, because again, you probably do the same thing as me. I'm looking at, he's $200 less. And I feel like for some reason he's looked at more in the end zone than Cooper. So I really like Puka a lot, man. I think he's more consistent scoring the ball.
Yeah. And I mean, so I lean Cup just a little bit, but if I want to play GPPs, I'm playing Cooper. I mean, I'm playing Puka. I just think, like you said, he's got more of a chance to score a touchdown. He's also a little bit better over the middle from the standpoint of, I think he gets those yards after the catch. Cooper's just this guy that they're running on these weak outs and, some flares, some bubble screens, and he's getting his yards here or there, getting his targets for sure and his catches, but his yards per catch are nowhere near what we get from Puka. So I do like Puka a little bit better for GPPs, but if I'm in fantasy football, season long, I lean Cooper just a tad.
Oh yeah, if you're season long, I'm going Cooper Cup because I know I'm getting 8 for 90 in the first half.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like no
That's
touchdown dependent, no nothing. Javon, good call. I actually looked at that one. All that scared me was I feel like he always goes out injured. Like I'm just so scared to put him in anything. But at any time touchdown, why not? Right? He can get that at any time.
And
so
I love him.
I do like that.
DFS today, and let's give a shout out to our boy Jason Mizrahi going with another ladder with Darius Slayton. So check out Discord where he's all in on Darius
the ladder
Slayton.
Going.
Yeah, he's going back to Darius Slayton, which he won last week on the late touchdown where he burnt Reed Blankenship. So I think sometimes Slayton's a little reliant on a big catch, but listen, the prop's under 30. One big catch can get you there. So I like it.
One big catch, man. Sometimes that's all it takes, man. That's all it takes. It could be at the end too, It could be at the end. Doesn't matter.
Waller's my favorite on the Giants side. I don't love Saquon a lot today. Rams defense actually pretty good against running backs, as they have all year. They shut down Kamara big time last week. Saquon's relying anymore on the touchdown equity because, he just doesn't. He's not going to get a lot of yards rushing against, with this offensive line. So Rams second, least points to running backs. I'm off Saquon.
I have not played Saquon. I'm off of him as well.
Yeah.
I think there could be a sneaky sleeper play in Jalen Hyatt for the Giants. I think that, based on this gameplay and maybe getting out of hand, and I could possibly see one of those punt long touchdowns for Jalen Hyatt, maybe in garbage time. But that's about it. Really not touching them now, Dave. We love this. Let's get to Arizona and Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Do you got fire in your gut today?
Yeah, well, I'm going to need some
yeah.
It's a weird kind of dynamic where we are in Philadelphia right now. So don't take this, if you're watching from outside of here, it's anything whining, but that was an ugly win last week. And now we're still sitting at a good path to 13-4, which will be one less win than last year. And the 2 seed, one less spot. So we have ultimately a good team, but I think Tony and I both know it when we see it with our eyes. If something doesn't get fixed quick here, this is an early exit. So I really need Philadelphia to show up today and actually play with some dominance, play with some, some jam, as our boy Laviolette used to say. So I think the Eagles really need to win big today to get everybody back on track. But it's going to be a good offensive game. I think even for Arizona a little bit with some run backs here.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think there's going to be a lot of points to be scored in this game. And listen, again, it's going to be about touchdowns. I think there's going to be a lot of touchdowns in this game. I really do. And I just don't know, what running backs going to be. Javon checks in, said Rashad Penny is surprisingly active today. That's interesting, right?
Yeah, that takes. Yeah.
I mean, let's just for the sake of this, why we're live, and we're going to get to some bets in a minute. What would be a Philadelphia or an anytime touchdown for Rashad Penny? Let's see if they even have it up because he's active now. I'm just curious because.
All right, while you do that, let me answer this question. Can you run Stidham and Cash? Absolutely. I mean, I love the matchup. 28th against quarterbacks are the Chargers. Aiden O'Connell scored 26 points against the Chargers just 2 weeks ago. Yes, it took 4 touchdowns, but you have that possibility there. And I'm telling you, Sean Payton's going to want to show you that he can coach and Wilson can't play. I think
that's exactly my point. I'm glad you answered that. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so
He's
at
his
4,800.
ego, bro, is like this
It's
big.
I
It might be bigger than Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
honest
it
with you.
might be. You're right, and I can't stand watching. But I do think Stidham, and not only in cash, I think he's good in GPPs as well. We're getting that game soon.
Yes, 100%. Now, Jason checks in, says, Pittman, Zeke, Elliott, Cup, half point PPR need 2. I think I
Well,
go Cup and Zeke.
I do too right now. I'm just worried about that concussion.
Yep.
I know they said he's playing, but one hit, he could be back out. One hard hit, so I'm with you. As much as I love Pittman, yeah, Cup and Zeke. Zeke's getting the balls. I mean, 9 targets last week.
Mark says, does Stidham have 25 plus rushing yards in him? I
That
don't know.
That's
25.
hard.
Yeah, 25 is a big number. Now, if it was like 12 or 13, getting away from it, I maybe, but that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one.
It is. Josh Allen only got 15 last week against the Chargers. I think if anything, the lanes are going to be open for passing, that it doesn't allow the quarterback. Well, they don't tend to get out of the pocket like that. He could. I mean, younger quarterback, if they don't get their first read or two, they are off and running. Let's see what Aiden O'Connell had against them the other week. Yeah. He's, and he's more stoic in the pocket. So don't get me wrong. I'm not going off that, but O'Connell himself had no rushing attempt. So not a lot of people are running against the Chargers because I guess it just looks too easy to pass.
I'll tell you this, man, just so everybody knows, we talked about the live on Treylon Burks. I'm just throwing this out there right now. Rashad Penny, anytime touchdown on DraftKings. Now you can shop around, is plus 1,300.
Yeah.
Just throw. I mean, listen, I can tell you this, man. The running back in Philadelphia is always, always, always looking to score. And you never know who it's going to be. He's active for a reason. I can 100% see him getting out the red zone, Dave, and like from the 5-yard line where they don't push, and they give it to Penny to run it in, man. Plus 1,300 is a good thing to throw a couple dollars at. Just throwing it out there, man. Throwing it out there.
It's worth it. Let's get one more question before moving.
Yeah, right here.
Down a little bit, they say, and you need to make up points. That's where it always gets interesting, right? Now that you have to make up points, you got to shoot for the high ceiling. And we already talked earlier, Cup, while he has high ceiling, he's more of that kind of safe barrier. But I still think, oh man, 2 wide receiver spots in a flex.
I think I would go Adams, Cup, and White.
I like it. Yeah, that's where I'd go. I'm not big on DK. I mean, Pittsburgh's past you can go against, but there's just too many options there. Yeah, and Aaron Jones, God, has he had even a breakout game all year?
Right.
He's had maybe like a 13-point game, but and then Dylan did play a little bit last week. So yeah, I like it. Adams, Cup, and White. And Minnesota's
I think that's
really good.
I think it's safe, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to get points from those 3 guys. Aaron Jones, we don't know. DK, we don't know. And Ty Chandler, who knows? At least those 3 guys are going to get the most of the volume for their team.
Yeah, I almost went Ty because Green Bay's rush defense is atrocious, but so is the pass defense. So they might. Yeah. And I mean, what does Green Bay do today now that they got the young kid Hall at quarterback? Do they go after him, stuff the box, stop the run, make him beat you? So yeah, for that reason, I'll go White over Chandler.
Now, New Orleans, Tampa Bay.
Love it.
I think this is an interesting game, man. The rise of Baker Mayfield, man. But that's listen, you bets it on DraftKings, right? You have the inevitable, Mike Evans and Rashad Lattimore matchup. You still have Kamara who's hungry, but he's questionable. Is he going to be healthy enough? I like Rashad White in this, man. Like I think he's going to pose some problems for that defensive line.
It's good. It's a weird matchup from the sense that New Orleans' strengths are Tampa's weaknesses. When we go offense, defense, Tampa 27th in offensive running DVOA, New Orleans 28th in defensive running DVOA. So yes, Rashad White theoretically should really have a good game today. How much they stick to it, how much they use it, I'm not sure, but I do like Rashad. I agree with you. I think that's one matchup we have to go after. And then, flip side, Baker to Mike Evans, I still like, but he struggled earlier. And I know I took Evans on the draft kits. I kind of think they found some rhythm here. I think he'll score, but it is a tough matchup. I don't think we're going to see a huge game out of Baker and Mike Evans, but I think we'll see a good game on the other side. I do love Chris Olave. We've been saying it over and over again. I think New Orleans has to try and beat this team down the field. I know Todd Bowles plays that funnel type cover 2 that just leads you into the middle of the field, but there's volume to be had here. And there's some shots to be made. So I think Olave is one of my favorite, probably top 3-4 wide receivers on the slate today.
Yeah, I love Olave, man. I really do. And make sure you're checking out Tara's underdog 10 free picks. We dropped 10 free picks. Tara gives us every single week, hitting at an 82% clip for the year. And again, it's free up to $500 deposit match by that promo code Win Daily. It's on our YouTube page. It's right there. You can swing through those picks, man. It's a 4-minute video, and it can really help you win some good money as you bring in 2024. Dave, swing it. Let's go to the next one. A little rapid fire here. San Francisco, Washington. Does Brock Purdy come back?
He does. And he comes back with a vengeance, but this is a McCaffrey day. Good luck to all you guys that have him, because this is just a completely feast matchup for McCaffrey against Washington in both the rushing and pass game. But I still think, San Fran's shown in the past, even when McCaffrey, and you mentioned the 2 weeks ago when McCaffrey gets 44, Purdy still was great in that game. He got just about 30. So, 25.7. So they can still move the ball through there. I'd lean Debo over everyone. I just see them using him a lot more and more since the season has progressed. So Debo and C-Mac on the other side. Brissett start. So that does help some of your Washington receivers. My favorite of late has been Curtis Samuel. I think there's some value to be had with Curtis Samuel, but this could get ugly. But I do think there could be some yards being made up late in the game. So I'll be looking at taking some cheap Washington receivers, just one. I'm not stacking anybody as a run back, and that could be Samuel, could be Scary Terry as well.
I like it. Scary Terry maybe getting in some play here. You never know, right?
Well, he had a good game against the Rams in a similar scenario when they were down 28-7. So he got all the yards late from Brissett. So he could have a similar day like that today.
Charlie says, I like this. She says, with a Stidham Johnson stack, you get McCaffrey, Kyron, and a top wide receiver easily. And honestly, if Stidham Johnson stack works, that's how you win. That's how you cash.
It does. And then I look at, if you want to go top level, out of the guys sitting up there, I might lean AJ Brown, but we'll see. Eagles should dominate on the ground. That's the key, but that does open up passing lanes too. So
it does. Now we're swinging over to Pittsburgh, Seattle in the first 4:00 game on this slate, and a lot of things going on in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. They're talking about maybe getting traded, but that as it may, I think the biggest thing is, Mason Rudolph giving them some down the field presence. And on top of that, George Pickens really elevating his game.
Yeah, he's great. 5,300 today in my top 5 receivers easily. Should have a really good matchup. Seattle ranks 23rd against receivers on the season, so they allow the 9th most points to receivers. So definitely want to try and find the right target in the Pittsburgh passing game today. And I do, like you said, Pickens. Listen, he relied on 2 long plays last week because he only got 4 catches to get his 195. But still, to have that possibility and know that Mason Rudolph's going to take a chance or 2, if not more, it's going to be to Pickens. Deontay Johnson is your small scat back that's not going to go deep. Pickens is the beneficiary of that deep ball. So, yeah, I like Pickens a lot at 5,300. I even think Rudolph is a sneaky good play at 5,000 as well.
I do too. I do. I like this game from a Pittsburgh perspective. Now, what about the 2 backs, man? Do you go Warren or Najee? They're both 5,500. It's so hard to ping who's going to be the guy. I think Warren's more of the pass catching guy to get you that consistent volume, but Harris is touchdown dependent a little bit. Where do you go with these 2 guys?
Yeah, I lean Harris a little bit, just coming off a game last week where Derrick Henry really got a lot of yards and got 2 touchdowns, 1 in the passing game, but both in the red zone against Seattle. I think, like you said, the touchdown equity, getting down in the red zone becomes Najee's game, and Seattle's been very soft down there, allowing a lot of red zone conversions into touchdowns. I lean Najee, and he's a discount too.
Yeah, he is a discount. 5,500 at this guy. He's under.
Well, he's $5 and Warren's 55. So yeah, he's 5 less. So yeah, 19 attempts this week too.
Yeah. Listen, it's just so funny. Like, it's week to week. Obviously, Warren has the bigger speed. You see him excel, right? But listen, let's get to this next game, and it's interesting, man. Cincinnati, Kansas City. This team, everybody expected Kansas City just go on a tangent here, and they really haven't. a lot of controversy, a lot of childish kind of comments from Patrick Mahomes, right? Like throwing fits on the sideline. Like where, do they finally today? Do you think they finally explode a little bit?
I do. And I think, not just Mahomes, Kelsey throwing his helmet like a little kid, and then Reed having to tell him to calm down. Like,
yeah,
they're frustrated. I get it. We can all, understand frustrations when you're not playing to the level that you expect to. And then you said something earlier, and I believe it so much. After watching, teams against Cincinnati of late, especially like last week, we talked about Pickens going off. Travis Kelce's in for a big day. Yeah, I think, we got to put him in the receiver bucket. He, as well as in my top 5 receiver plays. Cincinnati 31st against tight ends. And after seeing him go on the Kelsey podcast this week, I understand that he is taking accountability. I think he steps up in a big, big way today. He's been dropping balls too, Tony. It's not like it's just like he hasn't been getting open. Last week, 7 targets. I mean, came away with 5 catches. 2 weeks ago, 10, and came away with 6. And some of those are drops from their best receiver. I think Kelsey is in for a huge game today. So I look at a Mahomes-Kelsey stack is in play, Mahomes-Rice. And then if you want to get off Mahomes, then I'm going to get into playing Pacheco-Rice or Pacheco-Kelsey. So either way, I'm going to pair up two KC players at some point today in some of my lineups. I think they're in for a big game.
Yeah, I do too. I do. There's everything signal, sends that signal to that big day with the frustration and everything kind of just tailing out. Now, on the other side with Cincinnati, do we play anybody in Cincinnati right now?
Yeah, it's tough with Kansas City's defense, but I do think Mixon has a little bit of value after watching what, the physicality that the Raiders imposed on the Chiefs last week. I think, same can be said for Mixon. He's down there in, 20th ranked running back, guy that gets almost every snap for the team. When looking at the numbers earlier this week, he's up in the 80 percentile for snaps. So, and the touches as well. Chase Brown gets a little bit, but I think Mixon could be a sneaky good run back for 6,400. I'm wondering, and I don't know if you believe in this, but is the end of the Jake Browning, like, is it here? Because I'm starting to see him kind of die down a little bit. Definitely happened against Pittsburgh. And I love it. I love the story. I love the emotions. I love, seeing guys like that succeed. But it's just not sure. I mean, he's got Jamar Chase back. That's going to help, but I don't know.
It's like anything, man. It's like, when the quarterbacks come in and there's no tape on the guys, and there's no, they always excel, right? And then you give them like 2 to 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we can kind of find our tendencies a little bit, and they're going to catch up, man. It's all about adjustments. And I don't think he's ready to adjust. There's a reason why you're a backup, bro. Like I say it all the time. Like, how many times does backups become starters and stick? Like, not many, man. Like, not many. So, I mean, listen, if anybody, I play Mixon. That's about it. Jason says big prop for him was Kelsey. Got earlier in the week, 59.5. At right now, it's 65.5. It's just like the Treylon Burks thing we talked about earlier was 23.5. Today, it's 28.5. So, like, you get those numbers early with these plays, man, because they're probably going to go up. You get it early, and they're probably going to go up. Dave, let's go into the last game, then we'll get into some props, and we'll get out of here. The Chargers in Denver. For me, we already talked about, what's going to happen in our opinion with the quarterback with Stidham, but I like Javonte Williams a lot this week. I took him in DraftKings. I think they rely heavily on Javonte Williams today. I think he has a big day against the Chargers.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. I think he has to, right? In some semblance that they really need to rely on the running game a little bit to loosen, make it easier for Stidham. So I like that call. I do actually think, as much as I think the Broncos will win this game and win it pretty easily, I think Eckler will have a solid game. He had 21 points, his biggest, one of his biggest outputs since early in the season against the Broncos last time out. He actually found some running room against Buffalo, going 15 for 65. Crazy to say, but 65 yards was his 3rd highest output rushing on the season. So hasn't been a great season for Eckler. And we all knew coming in, touchdowns were the key, and he wasn't going to repeat that, but was surprised that he can't get, anywhere on the ground. But today I think he's decent because they're without their top 2 pass catchers in Keenan Allen and what's his, why is it off the top of my head? Palmer. So where we go in the passing game, I'm looking at Guyton a little bit. I think at 3K, you could take a chance there. Also, Alex Erickson showed up last week. Sneaky at 3,200, had a couple receptions, and I don't rely on any, but if you're looking for a discount, we've already gave you a lot of $3,000 players. Maybe one of these 2 could also be in your pool of discount players.
I agree, man. I like it. I like you're always looking for that punt spot, right? Always looking for that punt
And
spot.
Brandon Johnson, obviously, we talked
Oh,
about earlier on the other side. Love that pick today, 3,300. I think that's a big, big play today.
now we broke down the featured slate at DFS, and we'll still be popping in Discord as always. I'm going to show you a little bit of Discord in a minute, but let's get to the last couple minutes here, Dave. I know we gave some props out that we liked. I have some same game parlays. I do the jigsaw parlays all the time. I love putting the pieces together. It's fun. You have any props that we didn't talk about yet that you like for this week?
Yeah, I think I really do like DeAndre Swift over 68.5 yards rushing. I think it's one of those get right games for the running. And we started to see it last week. DeAndre probably should even had more yards, but they got away from it at one point in the game and allowed that pick six to happen. I think a little steady dose of DeAndre today. I know we're hearing, some pennies, Gainwell, Scott, but in the end, your eyes tell you everything. Swift is a game breaker if you get him the ball. So I'll take him over the 68.5. And I do like when we talked about it earlier, I like Olave's props today. I think there's a lot of value into New Orleans just from the standpoint of, this is win or go home. And it's probably win or Dennis Allen's job is gone. So I think there's a lot here. And how do you win games like that? You get the ball your best players. So look for Kamara and look for Olave today. And his receiving prop, I think last I checked, was 69. And I like that.
Yeah, I like Olave today a lot, man. I was looking at him in the beginning, and I like him a lot. Now, I'm going to throw this up on the screen, make it easy for everybody. Show you these are I put in 4 parlays for the early game. I'm going to bring them up on the screen, okay? And here's one of them right here. I like to get interesting, and I do triple threat touchdown combo bets parlays, and I go by position. So this is my tight end anytime touchdown scorer parlay. Kate Otten, Trey McBride, Cole Kmet. 3 guys that love to live in the red zone. I love, I think the only one I'm going to reach on is Otten. I need him to score today, and I think that's the kind of game it's going to be. So again, plus 270, plus 235, plus 240, plus 4114, Dave. Plus 4114.
Wow.
Again,
Let's go. Yeah.
Parlays, right? They're for a reason, right? But I do put some play into this. Now, here's my anytime touchdown. Okay, my anytime touchdown parlay, 1850, Kyron Williams, and then there's the wild card, Latavius Murray at plus 500 with DeAndre Swift. I think Swift and Williams are a lock, and Murray, as long as the game script gets there, Dave, I think this is very attainable at plus 1850. I do like this.
Yeah, the Murray obviously is the wild card in this one, but who gets it down near the goal line?
Yeah, and again, just preface by stock. I'm going to show you 2 more, but what I do is I play these single bets too. Okay, so I break even. I'm never going to lose because I play them unless none of them, and the odds that none of these 3 guys score a touchdown is very slim. So you at least get your money back if you place. And you do the no sweat deal too. So here's another one. This is for the Texans Titans. This is my no sweat. You see the Treylon Burks right here, over 2.5, 75 plus for Devin Singletary, alternate rushing and receiving, over 3.5 Noah Brown, and 2 touchdowns for CJ Stroud. What do you think about that one, Dave?
I think it's really that's a fun one. We talked about it earlier where there could be some offense in that game. Playing in the dome helps. I love it. I love it. Singletary, that rushing prop, 5,600 today on DK. I think he's a good running back to really target. We've talked about how Tennessee's rush defense, that's kind of like falling off the cliff in the past 6-7 weeks here.
Yeah, it really has, man. And he does in all phases of the game, man. All phases of the game. And here's my last one, man. This was a little $5 bonus bet I got from. I use a couple accounts, and they throw it in if you don't get the bet. No matter if you bet 25, you only get 5. It doesn't matter, right? But I like this a lot. The sneaky one will be the Kyron over 2.5 receptions. Get them back in there. Saquon, I took the alternate number low at only 50. Again, it's only plus 575, but again, I think it's very attainable in that kind of game.
Yeah, I do. And like we said earlier, Kyron has had the targets and the receptions. It just depends what type of game McVay tries to roll out there today. If the Giants give them any sense of a competition, which I think they can with Tyrod, he'll start to use the passing game for Kyron. So I like it.
Yeah, man. And last thing I'll show you guys, just so everybody knows, man, this is why you jump in our Discord, man. Like here's Jason's ladder right here. Put us out on the 29th, okay? 2 days ago. And it literally tells you who he's going for and where the number's at and how many units he's putting and what it takes you up to, man. Like he's hitting ladders every single week. Okay, every single week. Okay, and then this is NBA from the other night. Okay, then we get down here and he's adding Durham Smythe yesterday. He's adding Everett, which we just talked about. Noah Brown, he's at. So you just got to pop into our Discord. Official bets right here. We even have deep dive getting there with some golf. So we're always popping in there all the time. Again, Dave, before we get out of here, final thoughts. It's going to be 2024, man.
Yeah, I really, enjoy everybody coming in and talking today. The Win Daily family is more than just us on the screen and with our numbers behind it. It's the power of the people. So thanks for everyone that checked in today, contributed to the show. You're the reason we keep doing this, and we appreciate, doing this together. We've had some huge wins in 2023. Let's talk about it. I've seen the NFL posts. I've seen the NASCAR. I've seen UFC. I've seen PGA big wins. College football, me and Joel, we posted some. I've seen, NBA, we talked about MLB, NHL, even some huge wins there. It's been every sport. We have the knowledge, but we only have the knowledge because you guys help contribute to that too. So thanks. Hope you all have a great new year tonight, and we celebrate with a little extra cash in our pockets.
Yeah, we're going to end right there, man, because that's what it's all about. Win daily, right? Get a little cash profits. As always, I appreciate everybody for another fantastic year here at Win Daily Sports, the whole Win Daily Sports family, the whole Win Daily Sports community. Make sure you get on windailysports.com. Again, you get your free 7 days. If you're not already a member, hop in Discord. You'll see us in there dropping plays, dropping bets. But most of all, man, everybody stay safe and stay healthy. And remember something. If you have a phone, right? You have a phone. If you think you had one too many, you even think that you shouldn't get behind the wheel, just don't. Call somebody, call an Uber, man. Stay overnight. Don't put harm to yourself and start out in a bad way in 2024. So everybody have a fantastic new year. We'll catch you on the other side, and let's go win some money.